evening, welcome everyone. Call the special budget hearing to order the Bennington Public Schools. It is 6 o'clock here on September 8th. Thank you all for coming. Just by way of business for this evening, we're going to start with our budget presentation, but we'll be doing public forum at the end. So those that have questions related to the budget, please, Dr. Claus will answer all those questions, but if you do have additional questions, then you can bring those forward at that time. The Open Meetings Act governs our meetings under Nebraska law, a copy of which is located on the back wall. Jody has verified publication and notification of our meeting this evening. And again, public forum will be at the end. So I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Claus, to talk with us about the budget this evening.
Awesome, thank you very much. So when it comes to the budget hearing, typically schools will only really talk about the expenses. That's kind of the point of it, followed by the the special hearing later on the levies. But we're gonna kind of go through all of it, just because I think that in order for us to fully understand our budget and the expenses coming with it, you got to understand the full story. And so it might take a minute, but bear with me here as we try to build each section on top of it. So to begin with, just kind of an overview of what our actual budget is going to be for the 25-26 school year. You'll see the general fund has a request of $56,980,007. Special building funds, $56,458,806. Bond funds, $17,583,315. And then the QC puff is $700,638. Those are our taxable accounts. The other accounts within there are not taxable, but you can see what each of them is for depreciation, employee benefit, activities, school nutrition, and student fees. All in, our 25-26 budget request be $140,138,659. With that, our tax asking is $42,036,377, and our levy rate remains stable at $1.35.8. That was very quick and a lot of numbers. We're going to dive into each one of those throughout the course of the presentation. I'd like to note that this is the NDE budget, and so as a reminder, it's kind of a worst case scenario budget. We don't intend to spend every dollar that is requested up there, but we want to make sure that we have the availability if we need to. And so I'm going to pick on the QC Puff budget. We have $700,000 within that account right now. We don't have any intention to spend that this year. I think we'll probably utilize that in the future on some safety items, but we wanted to make sure we had the ability to expend it if we needed to throughout the course of the year. If something came up and we wanted to utilize that for safety and security, we could do so. And so we put it in the budget, the NDE budget for that. And so everything up here is the NDE. It's the worst case scenario budget. Okay, so like I said, we're going to have about 4 or 5 sections, each sort of building upon itself. And we want to begin with just variables here within Bennington Public Schools. And we are going to start with, shockingly, growth. That's where we always start, right? And so this is what our numbers are for this year. We have a 3.65% growth rate with students. We're up to 4,427 students K through 12. We're over 4,500 pre-K through 12. We are estimated still to be at about 5,000 K through 12 students in the 29-30 school year. We continue to see some of the fastest growing numbers in the state of Nebraska. We added 156 students this year. There's not many districts in the state of Nebraska that are adding 156 students. In some ways, our growth has slowed as the number of houses being built hasn't been quite as fast. Over the last couple of years, with interest rates as high, there's still very few districts that are growing at that same rate. So this year, we were at 3.65%. To educate all of those students, we have 570 BPS employees with 390 certified staff and 180 support staff. Over half of our certified staff has been here for 4 years or less, and 22% has been here for more than 10 years. So we have a really nice mix of newer and veteran teachers as well. This is the biggest portion of our budget, as it accounts for over 80% is staffing and personnel. The next item we want to talk about is valuation. And so Bennington school district boundaries, everything within it goes into our valuation. You can see that it's gone up over the $3 billion mark this year. So we're at $3.096 billion, which is a 9.3% increase compared to last year. So we went up $263 million. Over the last 5 years, we've averaged a 13.19% increase. Over the last 10 years, we've averaged a 12.26% increase. And so the 9.3% is still extremely high. but comparatively speaking, over the years, it's fairly low for us. I think it's the lowest we've had in about 10 years, actually, almost exactly. The makeup of our district is a little bit unique compared to others, where 90% of our total valuation comes from residential. We have about 4% with ag and personal property. We are up from 4 to 6% in commercial. We'll see when the 25 numbers come out. But in about 97% of our valuations in Douglas County and about 3% in Washington County. Something to note on our 9.3% increase this year, 4.09% of that was growth. And so that is new homes, new businesses, new valuation that came within the district. And so it's not every home went up 9.3%. District-wide, we went up about 5.2%, and the growth accounted for the last 4%. Okay, next thing I'm going to talk about is the Nebraska school funding system. Anytime that we have an opportunity to talk about the funding system, we like to take that opportunity because so many decisions that we make as a district are due to the system and how it operates. And so we want to begin just by educating on what the Nebraska school system, funding system looks like. We want to begin with equalization aid. Equalization aid is what the state determines that we are short of resources in our own district. And so when the state comes out, they look at formula needs. And so they look at the number of students you have, what type of demographics of students you have, and a variety of different things. And they determine at that point, in order to operate basic needs only, you need X amount of dollars. Then they look at the amount of federal resources and local resources. They look at if you taxed at $1, which we are currently at between our special building fund and general fund at $1, how much would that provide you? And if you still don't meet your basic needs, we give you equalization aid. If you do meet your needs, we're not going to give you any equalization aid. There's about 50-ish schools left in the state of Nebraska that still receive equalization aid. Bennington Public Schools is one of the most highly equalized districts in the state of Nebraska. And so every year when our local resources increase, the amount of equalization aid would decrease. And so the state doesn't say, oh, you know, your valuation went up, and so you can drop the levy. They say, we're going to give you less equalization aid. That's how that works. And so our local property taxes cover about 36% of our general fund budget. As I said before, we're very reliant on the equalization aid, and we'll show some more on that later, but we're about 12.71%. Only about 50 districts in the state of Nebraska are carrying out equalization aid at this point. And that is all based on valuation. If your valuations go up and exceed to where eventually your local resources can outpace it, then you would be able to lower the levy. For example, the district that I was at prior, we had a levy of about 67 cents. The reason for that is if valuation, like in our situation, would have went up 9%, let's say you needed 3 or 4% because it wasn't growing like Bennington was growing either, you could drop your levy down, whatever that difference was. We're not in that situation here at Bennington, obviously. Another item that comes in through other districts is foundation aid. And so factored into this is $1,500 per student. The state a couple of years ago said, we're going to give every school $1,500 per student, but it counts as a resource. And so that for us, that was $1,500 of equalization aid that just came out of one pocket and went in the other one. And so we actually, as a district, when the $1,500 per student came in, we netted $0. It was $1,500 came in the foundation aid, $1,500 went out in equalization aid. So it didn't actually provide us any relief. What did provide a little relief was the special education funding. Prior to 2 years ago, special education was reimbursed at 50%. And so if you spend $1 on special education, the next year the state would give you 50 cents for that. It went to 80%. And so when that happened, we received a little bit more in special education. That year was about $1.7 million, which also allowed us to reduce our levy down to 5 cents in the general fund as we gave every penny back in the levy that we could at that time. For us, forecasting out to next year, we believe that we'll receive just under $5.3 million in special education funding, which is almost 10% of our total general fund revenue. Student growth enrollment, again, especially here in the metro, you often have a comparison. Well, this district is that, or that district is this. Enrollment does matter. And so when the state is going up about 0.8% a year in enrollment, we as a district are going up almost 4% this year. We've historically been 5 or 6%. That all factors in what you're able to do, obviously, within your needs. and also just, make sure that we can educate the kids appropriately. Then the last thing is how that all leads to levy reductions. And we kind of talked about that a little bit earlier. Because highly equalized districts like Bennington, we tend to see fluctuations with our revenues as they show up. And so this year, total revenue, we look at about a 4.99% increase. Last year, we were down 2.7%. If you put those two together and we've averaged a revenue increase of 1.25% a year. 1.25% a year over the last 2 years, and our student population has grown over 7%. And so these are the types of swings that we often see that not every school district sees. So when you start looking from school to school, just know that there are a lot of different factors that go in. The nuance of it all actually matters. So, okay, with that, we'll talk a little bit about our caps and lids. These are our baseline budgeting things that we have to do from the state of Nebraska. The first one is our general fund plus our special building fund cannot levy more than $1.05 without an override. We are currently at $1, and so we are 5 cents under what we could do for our special building and our general fund. The second one is our budget authority. On the NDE budget, we can increase that by 2.5%. That excludes sped expenditures. And so our budget authority is $48,588,172. We meet that exactly. The third limit or cap on is our cash reserve. That can be 25% of planned expenditures. For this year, that's just under $14.3 million. Our planned cash reserve limit is right at $14 million, so we're under that as well. And then the fourth one is our property tax request authority. That would be each year you're allowed to increase your total revenue by 3% plus, which is increase the number of students that live in poverty or EL students and then growth that you have. And so when you put all those together, you're able to grow your budget by that amount. If the state reduces funds, you could add in property taxes. If your property taxes take more, or if the state gives you more, then you have to reduce your property taxes. So it's just a total revenue increase. We could actually have a property tax request for that of just under $34.5 million. We're just under $31 million. Even with our 5 cents of room, that would add about $1.5 million. We couldn't even get to what the system allows us currently. So we're about $3 million under what we could be asking for according to that model. Okay, expenses. Again, this is NDE worst case scenario, and then there's actual, what we believe that we're going to spend. Our NDE general fund budget, as you see there on the left, is $56,980,007. 81.54% of that total is personnel. Personnel is salary, benefits, anything associated with a person, and a human is personnel costs. So we're about 82% on that one. Our personnel increase for this year is about $3.1 million. That would be staff raises, new folks coming in. We added 8.5 staff members this year to accommodate growth from last year. Our elementary class sizes are at 19.1, so we're fairly efficient right there. Our total payroll increase is 7.37 for this upcoming year compared to last year. Our accounts payable, so these are our fixed costs, our supplies, our curriculum, our contracted out employment, those types of things. Those are all our accounts payable. That's actually going to decrease almost 14% in order to make the budget work. All in, we are about $4,500 under the state average per pupil cost compared to the state, so about 76% is what we spend per pupil compared to the state average. Some of that is because of the budget situation we're in. Other parts of it is just because of economy and scale. Bennington Public Schools that can have 19 students in one classroom, elementary classroom, is maybe different than Harford County that's got 180 square miles and 200 students. It just changes how you can do things. And so part of that is based on size, but we're not the fourth largest district in the state either, and we're the fourth lowest in the state of Nebraska. Keep in mind this spending is in the general fund, so this is operations. This is per student of operations, not capital expenditures or those other things. With that, I just want to break down the financial expenditures by category. So you can see about 53% on instruction expenditures, 13% on special education, 7% on support services, state and federal expenditures of about 2.5%, maintenance and operations about 11%, administration at 6%, and other expenditures is 7.5. So if you're wondering what the $57 million budget and how that's broken out, that's all there for you in percentages. Okay, continuing the build here, we'll go to revenue. So much of what we're able to do expenditure-wise comes from the revenue, and I kind of gave a preview of this earlier, but we just want to start with state aid. This is what equalization aid, I kind of go back and forth because nobody knows what equalization aid means, but they do know what state aid means. And so this is equalization aid. We are at $14,069,664 next year. That's a decrease of only $153,000, and so that's better than last year, where we dropped $5.4 million. So we have a little bit of at least consistency within there. This is our third consecutive year of a decrease in our state aid. It is about 25% of our estimated general fund revenue, which is the lowest in school history. And so as you look at this chart, the blue is the dollar amount. And so you can see the amount of state aid increased, and then it went down, and now it's leveled. The orange line is the percentage of our budget that comes from state aid. And so, you go back to 16, 17, you were roughly 40% of the total budget came from state aid. This year, we're all the way down to 25. And so, to our point earlier, as property valuations increase, state aid decreases. That's how the system works. It's always a give and take between those two. This is the visual that we've kind of come up with to illustrate what we mean by that. We always try to use the cup analogy and how the cup gets filled up. And so the cup in this analogy is our basic needs. We don't get to determine how big the cup is. The state determines that. It pretends like we're going to tax it $1 based on the number of students and the type of students we have. This is how much you need to operate, and that's the size of the cup. Again, if we taxed at 70 cents or $1.05, they don't really care when it comes to the size of the cup. They just say this is what you need in order to have just basic funding within your school. And so the size of the cup, and then it begins to fill up. The first thing is the others, and so that would be state resources, federal resources, local resources. That's the bottom in green. Then you fill up with property taxes, assuming that you would tax $1. How much does that fill up of your cup? If you have any room left, that's where equalization aid comes in. So if you look at 24, 25, our other was 24%. Our property taxes and property tax credit, which we'll talk a little bit about here in a minute, was 51%. So the state aid was about 27% of our budget. Valuations go up. The amount of resources that we're receiving federally and locally went down as well. So our first green amount there is down 1.8%. So where does that get made up? Property taxes, property tax credit went up to almost 53%. State aid goes down to 25%. And so this is the game, not the game, but this is the system that we have and what Bennington is always up against, maybe compared to some other districts. The district on the right is not us, but an unequalized district that doesn't need equalization aid. The blue eventually gets over the top of the cup, it spills out. That's when they're able to lower their levy. And so, again, when we're comparing district to district, it's all just a little bit different. Something that is different this year compared to last year, and that's in the bottom left, is the property tax credit. And so, special session last summer, and then we actually saw it in last year's budget, but when I was doing this presentation last year, we weren't quite certain how it was going to all play out. 30% of all school taxes that we ask for within our tax asking, 30% of that gets taken off the top, and then our patrons are only paying 70% of that. The state is then sending us that 30%. So the state is basically reimbursing the taxpayer at 30% of their total. So that's all in the blue. Okay, other revenues that we have are our other actual receipts. These are the first two are the biggest part of the pie, and that's our property tax credit. Again, 30% of what our tax asking, which we anticipate to be about $9 million this year. That's up big time compared to previous years. And then the special education that we talked about before. Motor vehicles, we get a portion of motor vehicle taxes paid, state apportionment, federal receipts, and then some others in there as well. Add all those up, and it's about $21.4 million. That's about 1.1 million more than last year, and about 38% of our total revenue. Special education funding is about 25%, and then our property tax credit is about 41% of the total. So a big portion of the 21 million is out of those two line items. And to our property tax request. And so kind of understand where the revenue situation is, what the expenditure situation looks like. And so that brings us eventually to our property tax request. You can see the general fund property tax request is just over 30.2 million, just under 30.2 million, which is about a $2.4 million increase. That represents about 53% of the general fund. That has increased compared to the prior year. A reminder, in 24-25, we lost $5.4 million. Another item is, as we forecast out to next year, we anticipate, we had equalization aid as $150,000 difference this year. We expect about a $1.2 million decrease next year. So that's where our budget projections are. And so our general fund is about 72% of our total tax asking. The special building fund is an increase of about $264,000. That is a percentage-wise a big increase, but it's only 1.84% of our total tax asking. And then our bond fund, we've left the levy stable, as we told folks that we would throughout the bond campaign. With valuation increases, that brings in about $930,000 more, which is an increase of 9.2%, and that represents about 26% of the total tax asking. And so our levy rate, $1.35.8 last year, $1.35.8 this year, which is the lowest levy rate that we've had in 12 years, even though we've been there for 3 years now, but it's the lowest one that we've had within the last 12 years. Just kind of a reminder, that was in 23-24, we dropped the levy almost 7 cents at that time. We've just been able to maintain it moving forward. And here's just an illustration of just something that we want to make sure that we are very clear and transparent about, which are bond, QC, PUF fund. We just kind of put them all into one since they both have the bonds within there. A history of our bond issues, we have $310 million of bonds that have been approved. We have not sold any of the $112 million at this point, but it has been approved. So 7 bond issues since 2003 for $310. Since 2016, the bond levy has always been between 38 cents and 37.5. It was that way for almost 10 years. Going back a couple of years, we were able to reduce that down to 35.8 cents, and we have left that there. This will be the 3rd consecutive year at 35.8 cents. With that, also talking about where our bond account is at as far as outstanding debt. This is always something we just want to make sure that we're talking about and very clear and transparent with. We currently have $159,365,000 of outstanding debt. We've talked about this quite a bit, obviously. We're excited that over the last 2 years, we were able to pay off about $11.4 million in 23-24, almost $8 million in 24-25. Our scheduled principal payments this year are $4.6 million. And you can see they actually escalate over the next few years to all the way up to as high as $6.8 million over the next 5 years. So it has been slow going, paying off our outstanding debt over the previous 20 years. I think we all recognize that. As we had $193 million that was approved, we still have $160. But we do have large chunks that are going to start coming off moving forward. And so those minimum days are over, and now we're getting into pretty big principal payments each year. And so $29 million in the next 5 years, $66 million in the next 10, and $114 in the next 15 years. And so we will have pretty big scheduled payments that are coming off. These are as scheduled. If the board decides, as they have done in 23-24 and 24-25, to pay off debt early because we have some funds available, we could always do that. This is just what is scheduled. Also, I'd like to know this doesn't have any of the $112 million that was previously approved. I don't know how that's all going to play out until it happens. So this is only prior to that. With that, our joint public hearing, so most of our patrons will be receiving a pink postcard in the mail either today or tomorrow, according to Douglas County. The way the joint public hearing applies, we used to have a special levy request hearing within this office or this boardroom, and a few years ago they moved to kind of a joint within the county for anybody that doesn't meet the criteria. And so you can move your you can increase your property taxes 2% plus growth rate, excluding bonds. If you're under the 2% plus growth rate, then you would not need to go to the pink postcard hearing down, joint public hearing down at the county offices. You'd be able to just do it within your boardroom. Because we are over that 2% plus growth rate, we'll go down to Douglas County. I always screw this up. The Omaha Douglas County Civic Center to do our joint public hearing along with other political subdivisions that are also over the 2%. That'll take place on September 17th at 6:05 at the Omaha Douglas County Civic Center. Okay, this will also be advertised. We'll make sure everybody knows about this. We put it in the parent newsletter last week. We'll do it again this week, in addition to the bright pink postcard that shows up in everybody's mailbox as well.
Any questions from the board?
Yeah, I do have a question actually. So when we're talking about our levy, and we're on the equalization portion, if we increase our levy, does that just increase the equalization, or does it actually raise taxes for everybody at the same time?
No, so you're saying if we're at $1 in the general fund right now, and if we went to like $1.05, it wouldn't change anything. They're still gonna give us the same amount of equalization aid. And so they pretend, or they value it out as if you're taxing it $1, whether you tax it 90 cents or $1.05, it still is gonna be the exact same. Yep. And so if we, if the board chose to increase the levy with the additional funds for the district to continue to operate, but it wouldn't actually change anything as far as equalization aid coming in.
Okay.
Yep. Good question.
Anybody else have questions? I know some of us have heard this multiple times, so probably not as thrilling here, but.
I thought it was riveting, but yeah.
I was thrilled.
Thank you, appreciate that.
I meant our questions would be thrilling, kind of fast then, but. Tim, do you have anything?
Good.
Okay. All right, and then state law requires us to have this hearing on the budget. So this is the hearing that we're doing to satisfy that Nebraska state law requirement. And now we'll open it up for public forum. The process for that is there are gold colored flyers in the back of the room. So if you'd like to speak with the board, you can bring that up to Jody here. And we're happy to take public forum with respect to the budget this evening. Yes. And while Carol is getting the paperwork filled out, just a reminder of the ground rules, we generally allow 5 minutes for public comment, and Stacy will be so kind as to keep track of that for me, so I'm not flagging anybody down. And generally, we do not comment or respond to questions, but we will be happy to have the administration or a board member get back to you after the meeting, and that is to ensure we're complying with our agenda for this evening.
I was listening, but I missed the part that we have growth and we have our regular stuff. What makes us above, why are we above where we have to go to that meeting? Because it seems pretty like we're right in the right place, doing the things it sounds like we're supposed to do, but what put us over, like why are we over that limit that we have to go? Did I miss that?
It's the tax ask hearing slide, the pink postcard slide up there.
Okay,
So I know we're not supposed to get into dialogue. It's okay. It isn't totally intuitive. That's why I've asked him several times to.
okay. That was just my question. I missed that. It's like, okay, what put us over the edge is what my question was.
I'll catch you after the meeting.
Thank you, Carol.
Thanks, Carol.
Sorry.
Thanks, Carol.
Does anybody else wish to speak to the board this evening? All right, I move to adjourn the budget hearing this evening. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Tim. So will you please call the roll?
Jeremy?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Kara?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Allison?
Yes. Motion passes and the meeting is adjourned. We will move right into our regular board meeting this evening. So I will go ahead and call the regular board meeting of the Bennington Public Schools Board of Education to order this evening at, 6:29. Right. We will begin this evening with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. We're glad you're here. We'll now move into our regular board meeting this evening. Again, our meetings are governed by the Nebraska Open Meetings Law, a copy of which is located on the back wall. Thank you to Jody for verifying publication and notification of our meeting this evening. And we will begin with our public forum, which is now required under Nebraska law at every meeting. So happy to hear from the public on comments with respect to our regular board meeting. Again, the process is the gold sheets in the back. If you'd like to speak with the board, please bring that up to Jody. You have none. Does anybody come in late that would like to speak to the board this evening? It's a quiet bunch. I think you put everybody to sleep, Dr. Claus. Okay, all right, moving on past our public forum, brings us to our consent agenda for this evening. I don't know who had bill review. Okay, down on the end.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any
No questions?
feedback or comments on bill review? As a reminder, we have 2 board members review our bills every month in addition to the treasurer, which is Jeremy's function. And thank you guys for doing that, I appreciate that. Also on the consent agenda this evening is approval of the agenda, approval of the minutes from our Monday, August 11th joint meeting with the city, which we did have, and our regular meeting which followed, which was also a special meeting on August 25th, which was our budget workshop. It was a strategic planning workshop, sorry, so many budget on my brain today. And presentation of the September bills for approval and payment, as well as our personnel report, which includes our resignations and hiring.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Kara. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Joe. No discussion in the consent agenda portion, so Jody, please call the roll.
Joe?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Allison?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Kara?
Yes. Motion passes. Next is our reports and presentation to the board section. I think, are we going to start with our elementary report with Dr. Rob?
You said it, but as having the transition, this will be the first time that Dr. Rob has been in front of you. Finalized her dissertation this summer and did an awesome job. Actually, I had the opportunity to sit in and listen to her defense. She did great, and we're really excited for it because that's a lot of hard work to get to that point. So,
Congratulations.
Thank you all, I appreciate that. Well, elementary is off to a great start. We kicked off with our back to school night, inviting all of our families into our buildings to see their new learning spaces and new themes for the year. The Bennington Public Schools Foundation also provided all buildings with Kona ice, so that was a nice sweet treat for them. We've also started our recognitions for the year, like Student of the Month, weekly shout outs, things like that, which you'll see some cute pictures at the bottom of kids really proud of their work. We've also kicked off our professional learning with our staff for the year. Our PD department here has been doing a really great job aligning all of our goals for the year, so we just feel like we're really off to a great start, and it's going to be a wonderful year. Any questions for me? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up is our middle school report. I walked in with Mrs. Rucker, and she's here.
Have a nice conversation.
All right, good evening, I'm Renee Rucker, I'm the principal at Bennington Middle School. Middle level, we are also off to a great start, both academically and with activities. The thing I want to focus on tonight is a unique opportunity for a couple of our kiddos who had the opportunity to go with Lindsay Wilson, who was the Nebraska Teacher of the Year, to the board meeting and present to the State Board of Education about the importance of collaboration and engagement in the classroom. And after watching the YouTube video, which I had to do, of course, Yuli and Lucy did a great job, along with Mrs. Wilson, highlighting all the great things we're doing in Bennington. And Mrs. Wilson even shared how she has taken that across the world. So next month, she will be sharing with you some of her experiences. But questions for me?
Thank
Thank you. All right, high school with Dr. Liberty.
Greg Liberty, Bennington High School Principal. Just going to point out at the bottom, Mr. Lura and Mr. Geardoff, two of our social studies teachers, were recognized by UNO for their excellence in dual enrollment instruction. I think it's important to note that those were student nominations. Both teachers received multiple nominations from kids last year for their work to make, that'd be AP Government, AP Geography, and AP US History relevant and applicable to the students' lives. So, they were recognized by UNO last week. We're gonna hit peak September here, golf and bike, cross country, I mean, you name it, we probably got it going on in the next 4 weeks. So by the time we get back together in a month, we'll hopefully be to homecoming, so. Hopefully. Questions?
Tennis courts look like they're underway though. Tennis courts.
Just need some lines, then I'll take down.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, student services with Mr. Bombeck.
Hello, Dan Wambach, Student Services. I've got a couple things to point out this month. Wanted to report on English language learners. Right now we have 90 students that are currently in the program that are being monitored or in direct services right now. You'll notice a little bit lower, 56 of those students, 59 of those students are in direct services, so they have to keep track of all of those students at this particular time. We have 31 students who scored proficient on the ELPA last year and were able to test out of ELL services, which is awesome. I think that means programs doing what it needs to do, which is move students into classrooms without the supports of the ELL teachers. Top languages, Nepali, Spanish, and Karen are our most common. We currently serve 24 different languages in the district, so we become a little more broad in what we're serving. The other thing I want to point out today is the Games on the Green. I'd love to invite the board to come out and join us on this day. We are looking at least 200 plus students coming out and joining us this year for a series of different activities that students get to be involved in. These are both students with special education needs as well as our general education peers that are working together to have a fun, inclusive atmospheres for several different districts around the area, bring them all together. Any questions?
Thank you.
All right, curriculum, instruction, and assessment. Dr. Tyndall.
Good evening, Dr. Tyndall, Director of Elementary Education. I want to highlight a few things tonight. First, our curriculum and adoption process is math, K through 12. We had our first meeting in August. We developed our mission, looked at our current reality, and developed some belief statements. This will be a year-long process, and in May, we will bring a recommendation for material adoption to the Board of Curriculum, or Board of Education, sorry. Professional learning, we have two focus areas this year. Our first one is to strengthen our PLC processes. We're focusing on teacher clarity, and what that means is we're defining the most important things that we want students to know and the content, and to make that consistent, and so teachers know what to teach in the classroom, and students know the expectations. And the second thing that aligns great with teacher clarity is our implementation of our instructional model that we brought to you last year. We're really excited about this. We think it's going to build great consistency and high quality practices across our classroom. We have our first professional learning this Wednesday early out, evolving the learning environment and learning objectives. And then finally, in assessment, we have been conducting our fall assessments, K through 8 math and in-class reading. That will close this week, and the results will be shared with parents in October. We use this information to define instruction and individualize it for students. And then the final thing I want to talk about is NSCAS results. Those should be coming home in the mail any day. Remember, we took that in the spring, and those results are sent home in the fall. The results as a district are still embargoed, but hopefully we'll be able to share those sometime in November. But we can share individual student reports. Any questions for me at this time? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Dr. Blumenkamp, our operations report.
Good evening, Matt Camp, Assistant Superintendent. Yes, the tennis courts have been poured, so I want to thank Hausman, DLR, high school administration. We had a little tricky pour to get that cement down here a couple of weeks ago. They started at about 4:30 in the morning, worked right up until about 5 minutes before our first buses arrived in the back bus loop, and they were pumping from trucks up in the bus loop. So we really appreciate the help of everybody to get that done, so we can stay on track and stay on the timeline to get the court surface done here before the winter and have an opportunity to play for our girls when we get to the spring. So thank you to everybody there. Did go to Wayne State College last week for a job fair. Busiest job fair in my time as an assistant principal I've ever been to. I had over 50 different potential candidates come talk to me about student teaching, job placement, practicum hours. Again, you've heard me say many times, if we can get people on campus here with us and get them with our teachers, they tend to like Bennington really well. And if we can get them here for practicum hours, then maybe they want to student teach with us. If they student teach with us as fast as we grow, a lot of times we have an opportunity to hire those people, and we've done that over the last 4 or 5 years. So was really pleased with that job fair. In the next 30 days, out to UNO for a job fair as well, and I think Kearney's in the next 30 days as well. So hopefully we have the same kind of turnout at those two colleges as we did up in Wayne last week. So that was great. Positions open in the district, just one certified position. That was that science position that we had trouble getting filled. Again, we may look at semester graduates potentially. It's in the budget. It's a job that's been approved. We'll look to do that. We've done that in the past where we've hired a semester. If we can find the right candidate and it's the right fit for us, we'll, Dr. Lehman and I will look into that. And then classified positions, 3 open bus driving positions. I think we're down to 7 open food service positions, or maybe 6 now. We've had a couple hires in the last week since I submitted the personnel report. And I think we're down to 5 open paraprofessional positions. So working with our directors and our coordinators to look at our Indeed campaign, to do a little bit different marketing to try to attract people to Bennington to be able to interview them for those positions. And so we'll see how that goes. I'll report to you on that as we move forward. And then the last thing for me tonight, new school resource officer in Bennington, Officer Station Nelson from Bennington Police Department. And I had the opportunity to go speak to 5th graders across all 5 elementary schools to go over our Safe to Help program. We've done that over and over. I've done it with Deputy Baker and Deputy Raymaker the last few years, and then Officer Nelson this year. And I had a chance to go visit with those 5th graders and had a good talk with each of those schools over the last probably 2 weeks is what we've been doing. So that is my report tonight. Questions that I can answer from anybody?
Is 5th grade really the first time that they
It
hear
is.
it? And then do we go back and revisit?
Absolutely, yeah. So we introduce it as a class where we go out and we go through a program with them, show them video, answer a lot of questions from 5th graders. We think it's important to roll it out to them and to offer it to them when they're in the 5th grade. And then when they go to 6th grade to either the 2 middle schools, the principals provide that information to them at their beginning of the year assemblies. And I know they revisit it over the course of the school year. And then Dr. Lamberty in the high school provides the Safe to Help information to their students at their beginning of the year and mid-year assemblies as well. And so we felt like it's been a good way to introduce the program to them at a little bit earlier age. Again, I think we had 103 Safe to Help reports last year. Every Safe to Help report that comes through goes to the school resource officer, it goes to me, and it goes to that building principal, and we address every single one. Sometimes it's over text, sometimes it's an immediate phone call, sometimes it's something that maybe isn't quite safe to help, something that maybe needed to go to Safe to Help, and we can
But at
address
least
it
you're
later.
reaching out.
But we'd rather it be that than them not sending the report. And again, a reminder, this is a 24-hour, 7 days a week program. And so a lot of our phone calls don't come during a 8 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon school day time frame. It's 6:30 at night on a Friday. Sometimes it's in the middle of the night on a Saturday night. And if we feel like there's a student that's in danger or in danger of hurting themselves, we'll make a phone call to mom and dad and wake them up in the middle of the night, or we'll send police over to their house to do a wellness check if we have to. So we'd rather have an upset parent for us waking them up, make sure that the kid's okay, as opposed to saying, then we'll get up in the morning and take care of it. So it's been a great program. We were one of the first schools in the metro to be involved. I think almost everybody in the metropolitan area is involved in safe development. It's run through Boy Scout, as you guys know. Other questions?
Is there an exact date on the next steps on the tennis court?
So we're about 2 weeks out, I think. Is that right? 2 weeks out from that top layer going on. It's got to be a certain temperature and stay above that temperature for 24 hours.
Above 50 degrees for 48
48
hours.
hours, yeah. So we're trying to find that sweet spot when we can do that and make sure that it cures properly. But we feel confident that we'll have the weather to be able to do that. And again, it'll keep us on pace to be able to potentially open those up for the girls in the spring.
Perfect, thank you.
You bet.
And I hear Dr. Lamberty challenged the board with the superintendent and.
I was thinking about that. I'm thinking of Dr. Lamberty versus Mr. Shannon, like match under the lights as a,
Well, I
like
think
an
we're gonna have to
inaugural
do
match for a fundraiser. People can like,
Fundraiser.
yep, they can put money on who they think's gonna win. Like, yeah, something. I'll talk to Post Brown.
Dust off the jacket.
Yeah.
You should be in a donut outfit. A donut outfit? Yeah, I think that works well. I think everybody.
I think you're right.
Yeah, we can do that again. I don't think anybody will object to that.
Looks like Dr. Lamberty's ready.
It's awfully complimentary. Understood.
Other questions I can try to answer for you today?
No, thank you.
Right.
Okay, thank you guys.
All right, our superintendent report, Dr. Boggs.
All right, I was just gonna go over a couple items from my report. First one is the School Finance Review Commission. I was appointed by Governor Pillen to be the, one of the folks from the Class 3 representing Bennington Public Schools on the School Finance Review Commission, which is an 18-person commission that is tasked with reviewing the state funding formula and then delivering recommendations to the legislative body, to the governor's office that would help promote stability of state aid and then hopefully reduce the over-reliance on property taxes. And so, it's a pretty easy task there. I've been trying to solve that for like 35 years. We've begun the work. We've had one meeting. There are several more that are going to get scheduled. Have to provide a report to the legislative body by December 1st. That's going to outline the recommendations. This isn't law. This isn't anything that we can actually do legally. It is just providing recommendations on what this could look like for the future. That way our legislators can either take those and run with them, ignore them, whatever they want to do. But excited to be a part of that. Obviously, we all know that we have an over-reliance on property taxes. We understand that from our presentation earlier. And so to be able to dig in and see what that looks like and potentially make recommendations, I'm excited to be a part of that, especially being somebody in there that can also give a perspective from a fast-growing district, because we're just a little bit different than some places. So excited to do that, and we'll continue to work on that through moving forward. The second one I wanted to talk about is just the Eastern Midlands Conference. So just a lot of changeover in our conference over the coming years as schools are growing and moving to Class A. And so I think once a year I give an update at this time. I want to let you know where we're moving as a conference. So at this moment, we have 11 member schools. After this school year, so in 26, 27, we're going to lose 3 of those schools because they're going to move to Class A. Lincoln Standing Bear, Lincoln Northwest, and Elkhorn North. They're all going to Class A, and so they're either going into the HAC or the Metro Conference. That leaves 8 schools in the EMC for the next 2-year cycle. Even though Bennington High School is going to be Class A during that 2-year cycle, they're allowing us to stay in knowing that we're obviously going to go back to B once the split takes place between the 2 schools. And so we've got 8 schools moving forward. In 28, 29, Gretna East will probably be turning into Class A. That'll be the same year that Bennington High School number 2 comes online. And so the hope would be, obviously, if one school exiting Class A, Bennington Second High School would plop in, and we're still at 8 schools. 8's a really good number. Obviously, if we have more, awesome. You don't want to get a whole lot less than that, but we're in pretty good shape right now. Bennington, as far as I think, has been a member of the ENT for about 13 years. We really appreciate all the schools that are in there. We work really well together. It's really an excellent conference to be a part of, and looking forward to continuing that into the future as well. And we appreciate them allowing us to stay in for a couple of years until we get to that transition as well. That just shows the level of camaraderie within the conference, I think. Any questions on that?
Do we change our sports classifications? I mean, are we playing all Class A schools for the next years? We'll still kind of keep our same.
So, Class A is the only school, or only class that does this, but everything is based on the football 2-year scheduling, which is kind of weird because it does it for all sports. For whatever reason, you can't transition in or out outside of that 2-year window for all sports. And so we will transition to all Class A and everything for that 2-year time period. Our schedule doesn't mean football will be all Class A. The other sports will not have to play all Class A competition. I do think there's some limits in there. I think it's like maybe like basketball can get to play 5 games within your classification. I don't know in softball or baseball what those limits are, but I'm sure there are some limits. But it's not like we're gonna wipe away our whole schedule, restart with an all Class A. We generally, I mean, shoot, I think I was looking today, our volleyball teams played 8 games, or 5 of the first 10 games are against Class A competition already. And so we already have some sprinkled in. We might do a little bit more, but it won't be an overhaul, just to turn around and then re-overhaul in 2 years.
Thank you.
Yep. A lot of work with Mr. Kessel on his side to make it all go, but it'll hopefully be okay. Other questions? Good one.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I think that brings us to our committee reports.
Just the building and finance, I think we're over all of that.
And I think we're covering most of that with the budget and architectural review. And so I think we'll, building and finance, okay, if we cover that, the rest of the board meeting.
Yeah.
We're ready to highlight them once we're on the agenda. All right, that brings us to our coordinator report with Stacy Hahn, our communications director.
I got my clickers this week. I should get it.
Would you rather for everybody else and yourself?
Right, it's all good. All right, well, hello, my name is Stacey Hahn, communication coordinator. So I just want to take you first a look back kind of at the last year and kind of like to go back and look at what we've done, what worked, what didn't. So we do our staff and parent newsletters every week. We sent 90 different ones this year. The average number of staff ones was read a little over 1,000 times each week, which is pretty high considering we have around 550 staff members for last school year. So they do go back and read it a couple of different times. And our parents each week was read on average about 4,500 times. Our lowest numbers kind of bring those down in the month of December. They're not very highly read in December. So I think everybody's just kind of ready for that little bit of a break. Social media, we do share stories and information on our Facebook page. We had a total reach of over 100,000. So that's all the different type of impressions and how many times posts have been seen. We had almost 60,000 visits to our Facebook page and, over 20,000 interactions. And then we gained a total of 703 new followers over the last year. We published and mailed the annual report to all households. That report did receive a National Award of Excellence from the National Public Schools Relations Association. It was one of only 41 awards of excellence. So I was really proud of that one. We continued our employee recognition program with our Shine Your Light Awards. This award is sponsored by our foundation. We had a total of 385 staff members nominated, and we honored 15 different employees throughout the school year as a monthly Shine Your Light Award. We also continued the employee appreciation program, also sponsored by our foundation. We gave a t-shirt, the ID holders. We heard what was one of our littlest but biggest wins with our staff was they're hard and plastic, and new teachers got them. And so existing teachers were like, well, I want that too. And so we worked with our foundation, and so we handed these out with t-shirts last year in the fall. We did a gift box in the winter and a personalized treat bag in the spring with every employee's favorite drink, snack, and sweet treat. So that was a really big hit as well. And then we just also honored employees throughout the year on their specific appreciation day. And that also I did personalized like magazine covers for every employee. So it had their photo on a cover of a magazine called The Difference Makers. And it had 2 different headlines about every employee that was kind of a shout out and a thank you to them as well. And then we also did our staff and parent communication survey. As you can see, our numbers were really up on the participation of those surveys compared to last year. And also, point of pride to note also is the district communication grade of either an A or B increased by 7% this past year. So objectives, I have kept the same, but the tactics in each objective have changed throughout the years. So again, we enhance and grow our awareness and identification of our brand through strategic communication, improve our overall climate of staff through appreciation, recognition, and internal communication, and improve student achievement through strategic communication that connects parents to the classroom. So I'll go through each of those a little bit more. So our brand awareness is continuing to tell the stories of the amazing thing happening in each of our classrooms and our districts using our newsletters, social media, and local media channels, and ensuring that we're telling the story of what's happening with our bond issue and building up the second high school. With that, we're continually updating our websites, which are our new websites with the new platform. So it is a new look. We're continuing to do that, and I'm going to work with our webmasters to train them on that new one. And then we have some sites out there that were never on the old platform. They were Google sites or weekly sites, and so we're kind of all bringing those in onto the new platform and making it all beautiful. Staff climate, so we will continue with our weekly staff newsletters, the Badger Memo, those go out on Thursday afternoons. And we also, on our staff intranet, we have our communication hub, and we'll continue to expand that. We put a lot of timely information up there and different things that staff can look back at when they need to reference things. We are continuing the Shine Your Light Award this year, and we have also opened that up to parents and students that can also nominate staff. Previously, it was an award that was just peer nominated by colleagues, and we heard from parents that they would like to have a way that they can nominate staff as well. So we have opened that up to them as well. We are continuing the Employee Appreciation Program. We're going to do some periodic gifts and continue to focus on those personalized recognition. And then again, in the spring, we will do a communication survey. For connecting parents to the classroom, we'll continue with our parent newsletter with the Badger Update. And again, both of our Badger Memo and the Badger Update, those newsletters, I am using our new platform through Parent Square. Previously, we used SMORE newsletters, and now it is all built into Parent Square with that new look with that as well. We'll continue to use our social media and do a communication survey again in the fall or in the spring. And then working through launching the mass communication system. So the mass communication system with Parent Square has gone and is launched, and we're working, and staff are using it, and I'm hearing great things from both our parents and staff that are really liking that. And then here soon we'll be launching the two-way messaging piece, so that we will add some more communication out to parents. So that way, since that is a new piece, so how we're adding that. And then we will also send our annual report again this year. So that is just kind of a list of what we plan to include in the annual report. Traditionally, bring that to you guys as well of what we plan to include. If you would like to see anything different added or anything, please reach out and let me know. We do like to make sure we have our district-wide staff and student data, test scores, programs that we have here in Bennington that we really like to highlight, talk about the growth. We'll do a bond issue update, and then talk about our athletics activities and our financial information as well. Any questions?
Good job.
Thank you.
You do a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy.
Thanks, Stacey.
All right, next up is our spotlight report, unified programming,
Yep,
and you don't look like Dr. Wood.
I'm gonna apologize, I received it this evening,
No
that
problem.
Dr. Wood was not gonna be able to make it
No
now,
problem.
so. I am your SAT substitute, I guess, I don't know, I had SAT excuse for us, substitute, so this presentation will probably go much faster because I have less knowledge of this program than he has, so. So The focus tonight is going to be on the National Banner Award for Unified Schools. Last year, we were privileged enough to receive that through a lot of hard work, a lot of dedicated people, with Dr. Wood at the helm of that. The program is through Special Olympics. Only 207 districts throughout the nation currently hold this status, with 34 of those being in Nebraska. So it's a fairly prestigious piece of to earn this and be able to sustain this. We are in our first cycle. We'll have to re-up that in a few years to make sure that we're still continuing to do the same things every 4 years, to continue to work on these same 10 standards and make sure that we're holding these as valuable pieces of what we do in Bennington. So the 10 standards that they talk about, inclusive school climate, and I think I want to tie inclusive school climate engagement together. I think that can be seen. Last year we had a celebration at the high school to honor this award that we earned. And in that, on that early out day, we had a basketball game with a neighboring district, and found that there was a huge, just a lot of the students that could have went home and went to do other things, they came to the gym and celebrated with us. So that was a huge celebration for us, not only that we were able to play that basketball game, but the number of students that came on I think there was some inclement weather that day as well, but chose to stay at the gym, chose to celebrate, chose to cheer the team on. One of the other standards on this slide, collaboration. Dr. Wood works with a lot of people in making sure, and students, making sure that this program is sustainable, can work, and will continue to be the norm as we move forward. Sorry, I didn't grab that.
You're good.
So, as we look through some of the other standards that we have to meet for this, the respect for all piece, and just how we treat our students with disabilities and our general education students, how they cooperate and work together. We can see that through many of the programs that Christine Wood and Dr. Wood utilize, and how they integrate their students throughout our district and what they do. We also are required to have some special education or some special Olympics unified sports. Right now we participate in track and bowling. Both of them are hugely successful. We see a lot of students choosing to do that versus do another sport. Keep in mind that if they choose to do that sport, sometimes that means they can't do other things. For instance, for unified track, that means that limits some of what they can do if they were to go out for track. So we have our general education peer models that are choosing to do this and work with our students, and because of the relationships and the impact it has on their lives. So we love to see that and encourage all students to at least give it a shot and look at that. Inclusive youth leadership with this. So our students that are both our peers and our students in the program, they get to make choices and make decisions about how they want to move forward in those Special Olympic sports and things of that nature. So we love to see those interactions and those ability for them to think through those processes and how they want to move forward. Again, full school engagement, I think that goes back. We see that our schools are very engaged with our programs and engaged with these students and knowing who they are and what they do, both in our games on the green that I mentioned earlier, as well as the unified sports and as well as the celebrations that take place in. One of the tenets that Special Olympics puts out for this is the self-sustainability. Bennington is self-sustaining in these programs and how we fund these programs and make sure that these students can still have access to those activities and participate in them. Again, we have that sustainable practices piece in place to make sure that we continue to do that. The systems of how we work with our coaches and how Mr. Kessel works with these teams to make sure they're on the schedule to move forward is that kind of self-sustaining piece of how we're going to continue to do this programming. And then this is the ongoing communication with Special Olympics. We received a new Special Olympics contact this year, so we'll work with that person and continue to get to know them as we build a relationship with them as well. So, and
That's it.
You did a great job. All right. Doing it well. What time was that games on the green?
I believe it started at 9:30, and I don't remember the exact date. It's in the notes.
23rd.
Yeah, 23rd. So yeah, we'd definitely love to have you guys there. I think it's a great opportunity to come for just a part of it. That's great. So
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to our new business this evening, which is to review our 25-26 budget projections and timelines. Dr. Voss?
Yeah, so this was just an opportunity. Obviously, we had the hearing earlier. I know you ended up asking some questions during the hearing, but this was an opportunity if you had anything you want to say or questions that you wanted to ask. We just want to make sure we had it as an action item, so you can do so outside of the hearing. So open to any questions.
Any questions? All right, thank you. All right, our next item is an update on high school number 2 with our architectural construction progress.
Yeah, so we'll have Hausman and DLR come forward. I know that they put together a presentation for you. Things are starting to come together on the design at the high school, and we thought we'd get a chance for them to go through some of that. And if you guys have any questions directly for them, this would be the time. Don't let you guys down. Nervous?
Familiar faces. Welcome, thank you guys for coming and sharing with us the update. We'll have you talk in the mic just so folks on that are watching and here.
Let me get my latest laser pointer. Okay. Awesome, thank you. I'm Vanessa Shuby with the Electro.
Full furniture, 1,000.
So, go ahead and change that. So one of the things that we focus on is really creating a welcoming, vibrant environment. So this is one of the slides that has pictures of the site itself, but also serves as inspiration, playing off the Bennington blue in a new fashion is something that has been important. Is continuing the tradition of Bennington as we design the school itself. So with that, we'll transition to the next slide. One thing, so this is the site plan. Please note that north is to your left. I'm going to turn. Do you want me to use this side or do you want me to show you? It doesn't matter. Okay. So one thing that was really important with the site, we know that there's a lot of grade change. And one of the challenges of your existing schools is all the stairs. So we focused a lot on leveraging the grade change in the site itself for opportunities with like the top loading athletic area and gyms and really leveraging the buildings to work better, but not have any steps as we come to the stadium and to the school itself. And you'll see that in the renderings as we move forward. We also focused on dispersing the entrance points. So having multiple points for traffic to disperse was really important, as well as spreading out the parking so it's not all consolidated in one space, so you can see as we go forward. As we transition to the next slide, this is the overall site plan. We're only showing the first floor because there's a lot here. And one of the most important things when we look at this design of schools is how we zone it. How does the public come to the school, and how do you keep it close and contained? So we have our main entrance, which is right here. This is the administration. So the idea of eyes on the site, so into the building before they actually come to the main entrance is important from a school safety standpoint, but it also serves as a zoning space. So we can see right here, there's a control point right there. So when you have activities in the evening, you don't have to open up the entire school. It allows for that ease of kind of people movement. So as we look here, this is the commons, serves as lunch, right? But it also serves as an assembly space for the performing arts area as well as the athletics. So queuing for all those folks as we go forward. This is all of the athletics. We have the fine and performing arts. Sorry if I'm getting anyone with the lasers right there. And this is our CTE space. And then our core academic. You can see the planned additions for future phases as we move forward. So that's a big picture, a quick run through of the overall floor plan as we look at it. Now this is as we approach the building. So we're coming up the main parent drive. You'll notice off to the right, there is a placeholder of a B for Bennington. That is actually the press box for the soccer field, practice field. And it actually serves as kind of a signage, if you will, as you approach the building. You'll notice the darker piece, it's a little bit darker on the slide, is the main commons, it's the main entrance where parents will come and drop their students off. We are leveraging sunshades in that area to reduce the glare in the commons and it's east facing. You'll also notice all of the windows that are east and west facing do have some sunshades on them as well to limit the heat gain and reduce the glare within those spaces, along with a special frit on those glass to kind of make the environment more pleasing for the students themselves and limit glare itself. As we move to the next image, you can see we get a little bit closer. It is a little bit washed out, but the main entrance is actually right there. You can see it's actually darker on the screen. We are working through some signage that will go on the main canopy. That is not implemented on this drawing yet, but that was something that we will be implementing as we move forward. You'll notice that there is a consistent kind of brownish brick flanking either side of the commons that kind of ties both the precast building and the cavity wall construction together. So it looks as if it's all made similarly, but it's two different types of construction to speed up the progress to get this open quickly. This is actually a view from inside the commons looking outside. So you can see a little bit those fins that I talked about earlier with the sunshade and the lines of the ceiling kind of pulling you towards the exterior. It would be a great place to kind of relax and gather. The furniture is definitely placeholder. We put it white just to so it doesn't distract from the rest of the building itself. Here's as if you were walking right into the building itself. So you can see there is some signage that calls out the theater as well as the main athletic area. So it pulls your visitors where they need to go. In the corner right there is actually a school store that will double as a conference room as well. So looking at how we design that, it was really important to be multi-purpose as we move forward. And then this is looking the other way. That's the main stair that takes students up to this upper level and then into the academic area. You'll notice the student art display. That was something that was really important to the teachers when we met with them a few years ago, is the ability to display student artwork, so and all other activities as well. So we focused on different spaces throughout the building to highlight student work itself. Just another picture right here. The larger window on the right-hand side actually looks into the art room, and it is a display case that can keep that work protected, and it can be changed from inside the art room without having a lot of challenges from a display standpoint. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to construction update.
Awesome, yeah, so I'll go through, just kind of hit on where we're at construction-wise and bid package-wise, and kind of an update on each one of those. Going through for bid pack ones, all the mass grading work. We're looking to complete that work later this fall, kind of moving everything from the south to quadrants and getting out of there, which allows us to get into the footings, which was released in bid pack 4. Jumping back, bid pack 2 was the precast wall panels. So we awarded that later this summer, looking to get a Q1, Q2, or early 26 delivery for those panels out on site. You guys kind of hit on this earlier, but bid pack 3 was the tennis courts. The courts were poured, so right now ongoing. This week, you're going to look to see some sidewalks out there, some electrical work going on underground. The fencing by the next couple weeks should be complete. And then later towards the end of September, get that surfacing down. With the lights being probably the last portion to get out there. But we'll get the bases in here shortly, the next couple weeks. Allow you guys to play some tennis here in the spring. With bid pack 4 released on August 15th. We are working through all of those on Tuesday. So it's tomorrow. We'll start doing those through the next 2 weeks to present and give recommendations on the contractors to start the foundation work. We are looking to start that work sometime in the late October to November, December timeframe. which kind of depends on the final plat when that gets going, but we'll look to award that in the October area. And then as of last Friday, the package 5 was released. So we are using that to kind of get some better numbers from some of our subcontractors with more design. We're able to get more competitive pricing. So we're gonna use that to hopefully get a GMP here into October. And then following that on the 9th of October, we look to get bid package 6, which will contain the rest of the construction items for the school. And along with bid package 6, we'll look to go get the building permit in that October timeframe that was submitted and under review. But right now, the main goal is moving on to dirt, getting ready for putting foundations in November. So hoping that 2026, you can start to kind of see the building start taking place. And like Julie mentioned too, there's 2 different types of construction, so we'll try to work coincidentally with the kind of gym athletic area and then the school wing itself, doing steel framing, and then all the precast panels. So. Just more kind of on the permits that we hit. Grading permit was issued, so we're ongoing with that one with the footing permits set in for review on August 19th. I was waiting for the final plat before we can begin that work, and then with bid pack 6 on October. Not we'll look to submit for the full building permit. At that point, we're ready to go. So you're signing some of the items too. I just touched on construction, mass grading, tennis courts, and footings here, and late fall, early winter, following the structure, early 26th. And this is just one of those pictures we brought into with the tennis courts pouring from the bus loop, having to double pump all the way down there. I think 5 minutes was mentioned earlier. I think it was closer to like 2 minutes. So we're lucky that worked out very well. We'll continue to do that work to get that wrapped up. Now you guys here on the school.
Questions?
Appreciate it.
Nope, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys. A couple of things, just really enjoyed working with DLR and Hausman throughout the course of the process. The construction manager at-risk process is really nice. When the owner and the architect and the construction manager are all in a room every single week talking about what's going on. Not all those meetings are always super comfortable, as we're all relying on each other for something. But you create a team-like atmosphere, and you're able to move forward together, and you know what obstacles are coming, what pressures everybody's feeling from their different areas. And so really enjoyed working with both of those organizations throughout the last year or so, and feeling like everything's on schedule and doing pretty well right now. A couple other things just want to get out there. First thing is our core team. Core team has begun meeting to develop recommendations to bring to you guys regarding some of the foundational elements of the new high school. And so set out a 3-year plan on what all we have to do. And in the first year here in 25-26, there's 4 really big items that are upcoming. First one is the school colors, followed by the mascot, and then what the potential grade splits would be. So is it going to be freshman, sophomore, junior, senior in 28-29, and then what the school name is. And so our hope is that we address each of those throughout the course of the next 9 months. Those are all hot button and big items within our community, and so hopefully get that information out quickly. And so the core team's been meeting, we'll continue to, but you're going to start to see those things come to you over the coming months throughout the course of this year. Let's see, those are probably earlier than a lot of places have done, provided that information, but just as we look forward, knowing that we're going from a 1 high school community to a 2 high school community, there's a lot that goes into that. It's going to be a significant change. We're not all going to be one color. We're not all going to be one mascot, not just at the high school level, but middle school and elementaries and throughout the community and our different organizations that utilize our colors. And so we just wanted to make sure that we're pretty quick on that. That allows 2 years for everybody to adjust as needed. And then the core team moving forward, we'll look at helping with the hiring of the principal, what staffing considerations as our high school staff starts to split between there, what needs to be ordered and designed and school song, the school crest, all those transitional elements that, you kind of forget exist because we've been a high school for 133 years. So a lot to do in the next couple of years, but we feel like we have a nice plan moving forward, and those will all be coming to you guys here soon. Next thing I just want to quick talk about is the boundary lines. These are obviously something that is really important in our community of what that's going to look like. Because boundary line decisions depend heavily on what the housing developments look like, this is not going to be something that we're going to outline boundary line decisions anytime soon. We're looking at targeting like May to the summer of 2027, which would be about a year in advance, which is still be earlier than most places have done that. But we've got to allow development within our community to continue to grow, because we can't make a decision today, 2 years from now, go, oh my gosh, we thought 200 homes were going to be built over here, but instead they were built over here, and the whole boundary line doesn't work. And so we will continue to look at it, but we're not going to have a decision until we get a little bit closer to that opening in 28, 29. I know people don't necessarily love that response, but we almost have to protect ourselves as a district as well. But in the short term, I am going to recommend that we bring a demographer out. I think this was last done here at Bennington in 22, I believe. It was before my time. But I think we need to re-engage with a professional demographer just to provide us with information on future site development, potential school locations in the future, growth within our current attendance boundaries. Hopefully that data will help guide us as we make a decision for the high school boundary lines as well. And so I think we should start doing that sometime earlier. One thing that we did consistently express throughout the bond campaign is we can't guarantee where the boundary lines are. We can't guarantee they're going to all stay the same, but we will try to value keeping cohorts of kids together as much as we possibly can. And so I hope that continues to be a goal of ours, as I know it is your guys as well. We just we don't know what the future looks like exactly. So with that, hopefully we can engage that demographer here over the course of the next year or so, give them a little bit of time to work, probably as close to when we have to make the decision as possible, makes the most sense. But we need somebody else to help us on that as well. We'll keep doing things internally. We're going to keep doing our house count. We're going to keep worrying about those things internally as well. We're going to try to break that out a little bit better this year and even make it better data. But probably shouldn't be the only data that we use either. Other like short-term considerations, bid pack number 4 for the foundations is scheduled to be open tomorrow. But Hausman obviously wants a response on who was awarded that as soon as possible. They take a little bit of time once the bids come in, make sure they're apple-to-apple bids, and then we bring it to the board for approval. We have that September 23rd budget adoption meeting already on the calendar, and so we're going to add bid package number 4 approval to that. That way we can keep moving as fast as possible as well. I told them from the beginning it's always our goal not to hold them up, so that'll help us achieve that as well. Lastly, I think this is going to be, fall of 28, probably one of the most significant milestones in the history of our school system. There's just not a lot of places I've gone from 1 school to 2. Obviously, there's been several, but we're hoping as we transition our small community into the 2 high school system, we try to be really diligent. We try to think of everything that we possibly can, also be really methodical, and we are going to try to communicate as fast as we possibly can on every single portion that moves forward. It probably will never quite be fast enough. I think we all want to know everything today, and myself included, but we really try to lay it out in a timely manner, but also one that hopefully gives everybody the time that they need to make decisions and understand what's happening in the future as well. Any questions on any of that stuff? Okay, big decisions ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Lots of upcoming meetings, which is the nature of budget season. Our next regular board meeting is October 13th here in the district office at 6 o'clock. We have several special meetings. Dr. Claus mentioned our September 17th joint public hearing down at the Omaha-Douglas County Civic Center in the legislative chambers at 6:05. And I will be there as our representative from the board, as elected officials required to attend. And then September 23rd, the budget approval bid package 3 meeting at 5 o'clock here in the district office. And then we will have various committee meetings over the next month or so. Lastly, Nebraska Association of School Boards area membership meetings are coming up. September 9th is tomorrow, and the 24th. So if you guys are interested in any training, please let Jody know and just sign up. All right, I believe that concludes our business for this meeting, so I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Thank you, Tim. Jody, please call the roll.
Jeremy,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Kara,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Allison.
Yes. Motion passes, the meeting is adjourned. And students in the room, if you need your paper signed, come up and we'll be happy to do that for you.